Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. I'll just make a quick video, very brief. I was reading Elon Musk's Twitter page, and of course, he's the owner of Twitter, but nevertheless. And he tweeted something that was very, very interesting. Basically saying that the USAID that has been halted by the Trump's administration is going to have an impact on a lot of countries in Africa. Again, I saw, Miguna highlight his response, Elon Musk's tweet, and went ahead and started saying that, how will the African countries that depend on this aids and all this stuff, all this foreign aid that USA have been helping with them, how will they survive? And again, this is where I differ with Miguna. I don't know what angle of argument he was using here, but I'm with Elon Musk in this, because Elon Musk kind of said something that without actually saying a lot, but he was basically trying to say that now that USAID has been stopped, there shall be less foreign interference in a lot of countries of interest, okay? Basically, the United States, let me just use this. The deep state, remember when we discussed this whole deep state? I know for the Kenyan audience, we always refer to the political elites, basically. The super rich in Kenya as the deep state, the people who decide who becomes the president, all that. Now, yes, it can be used the same, you can shift the same definition of deep state. Again, this is what Eisenhower was in America, what Eisenhower used to describe as the military industrial complex, the deep state, the shadow government, the powers behind the actual power that we see in the United States. As I try to explain to you guys, if you're wondering who are the deep state, these are the people who are pushing for the globalist agenda. They own pretty much the biggest multinational corporations that you see around. They are the ones who are behind the UN, WHO, the Federal Reserve Bank, all these central banks that you see in different countries, including Kenya, Central Bank of Kenya. Remember, the Central Bank of Kenya is not a national government. It's not. It's a private bank. Go check it out. Do your research. Somebody else owns it, okay? But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. That's why you saw there was a clip of the former American ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman. She was in Spice FM and referred to Kenya as a what? A corporation, okay? Again, do your history on corporations. I won't take you down that rabbit hole, but the point that I'm trying to drive home is this. I mean, Elon Musk said what was obvious, and it basically confirms. Go check out my video that I made about Trump's EO's executive orders and how they're going to affect Kenya. And, a lot of people, retweeted and just replied to what Elon Musk said, because it's kind of like an open secret. I mentioned this. I didn't even know about USAID being a funnel for the deep state CIA to funnel money to, finance their agenda in a particular company. And I'm not saying this out of me just blabbing, but again, I referred to you guys to that former CIA guy who worked for the World Bank, and his name is John Perkins. He has a book called, again, the Confession of a Economic Hitman. He names USAID among other organizations that are looked at as, on the surface level, you might think that it's a company that helps other developing countries with foreign aid, but their real intentions, their real function is to funnel money from the deep state, the CIA, and all this, whatever, for some clandestine activities. Now, people might, a lot of people think that the CIA is like, okay, this American intelligence, group, organization, or whatever the case is, that looks after Americans' interest. To the contrary, CIA is actually, go look at its history. It was started by those Dallas brothers from Texas. Go read their involvement. They have been linked to, most likely being involved in JFK's murder. They allegedly, okay. But anyway, go find out more about CIA and how it's not really it doesn't look out for the American interest. It's American by its foundation, but it's not really America as far as its operations. It's not working on behalf of the American public, okay? The CIA works to the advantage of these global corporations that are basically owned by these deep state people, okay? When you talk about the deep state, who are the real owners of the Federal Reserve, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Carnegie family, and all that. Do your research. I don't have to take you down that rabbit hole. But again, just my whole point is this. It's so interesting for somebody like Elon Musk to basically tweet something like that and, blow this thing out of the water and say, from now on, we shall see less interference in the global space, in most of the developing nations, since these guys are not going to be tampering with like I told you, in that book, he gives a lot of examples of how these guys through USAID, they prop up candidates to stand up against the nation's president. That if if a particular president doesn't want to play ball, doesn't want to buy into their loans or what they're offering them, they will basically prop up an opposing leader by the money that's been funneled through USAID, okay, for the campaigns, or even in some cases like Chile, fund a coup d'etat. They find a general and they pay him and they ask him to, basically take over power by force. So this is a very interesting thing, and I would like to see how this will play out. Like I said, in the Kenyan context, I know a lot of people might be asking, okay, how will that affect Kenya? This is how it's going to affect Kenya. Like I said, Ruto is a Western stooge and probably was propped up there by the British and the Americans, okay? They kept him there. He's their child. He's their poster child in Africa, okay? You see how the first thing he does when the Congo situation, escalated, he called Macron of all the people. So that tells you, and all this climate change nonsense he's buying into, all these GMOs, all this, he's fully sold out to the West, okay? So what I was saying is, it will be interesting to watch now that these money from USAID and all other foreign aid that America gives Kenya, now that will be halted for at least 90 days under review, how will Ruto cope? Because now, the deep state, this globalist, the people who actually run these multinational corporations, who have heavy influence on developing nations, African dictators, these people who prop up these dictators, now that their money has been, halted for 90 days and even longer if they find that money is going to the wrong hands and not going to where it's supposed to be, what they claim to be using it for. How will Ruto cope without the help of the West financially? Now, he might still survive because Ruto, of course, he's using Kenya's taxpayers' money to do his exploits, okay? His evil exploits, his corruption, his whatever the case is, buying the whatever. But it will be very hard for him because now he has to really come up with a huge budget. Because remember, when Kenya, we always budget for corruption. So the next finance bill will be very interesting, okay? They have to raise up. I think it will be a budget of probably 10 trillion. I'm just using a number. I'm exaggerating here, but I'm just saying. It will be a bigger budget in order for them to have more money where they can budget for more money for corruption, okay? But it will be hard because Kenyans are really being, this whole idea of digital activism and activism in general. People are really, really waking up and holding this government accountable, whether it's through digital activism or other means. So it will be very hard for Ruto to really get away with this. And without the finances that, organizations like USAID funnel to prop up, these dictatorships, these puppets like Ruto, Ruto will start having it tough. You'll start finding it hard to really stay in power. And of course, the situation in Kenya right now, already Ruto is facing a lot of resistance from his opponents, okay? And I'm not talking about the clowns that are facing that are creating that coalition, the Karuas and all these idiots. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the Kenyan people who are growing frustrated by the day by Ruto's regime. And even in the Western Kenya, don't be fooled by these leaders from Luo Nyanza who are trying to prop up Ruto as somebody who is having development. No, the people know the truth and they're not buying what the likes of Gladys Wanga and these Kalomas, what they're saying, because they're talking about, now we shouldn't fight Ruto because we are now in government. But the thing is, Wanga being in government or whoever, what's his name, Opio and I or whatever, that foreign, not finance minister, whatever, Mbadi, being in government does not help the community, people in Mashinani, the Luo people. So even the Luo people, they're just being quiet to be quiet, but in really Mashinani, people are not feeling Ruto, even in the Western Kenya. So, whether you go to Kakamega or whatever, majority of the people do not feel Ruto because they can feel the real economy where the standard of living is still high, things are very expensive, there's no development, it's corruption everywhere, abductions, tribalism, and name it, it's still going on. So people are not buying this. So without the help of the West to really support backing Ruto financially, Ruto might find himself in a very, very tough place, okay? He'll have to dig it deep in his pockets and use the money that he's trying to steal, that he's stealing from Kenyans to, buy out everyone. The thing is, you can't really buy out the whole country. So Ruto will be facing a lot of resistance coming in 2025. If I was to predict, 2025 will be a very, very rocky year politically for Kenya. There's so much happening, as you know. But anyway, I'll stop here. I just wanted to mention that, this whole it's no longer an open secret now. It's an open secret now. If Elon Musk is just posting that, USAID and naming them as, one of the organizations that are being used by the, industrial military industrial complex, okay? The deep state, the shadow government, to funnel money to do exploits, evil exploits in these developing nations such as Kenya, it will be very interesting to see how these Western puppets in Africa survive with this backing. And you can see there's like there's a new wind of revolution taking place in Africa, whether it's in Congo, we see the Sahel nation. I don't have to tell you, but let's watch really carefully how this 2025 goes. I don't know. I think the people should start, turning their voices towards the military and asking the military to actually ask Ruto to step down. There should be increased pressure, okay? We shouldn't be paying attention to this, the Martha Karuas and Matiangis and all these Natembeas. We should not pay attention to them. We should actually reject them. All this Kachagwa. These are distractions. They are part of Ruto's plan. They are working with Ruto at night to maintain power. Because remember, these guys became billionaires because they were in government and they never changed anything. When they had an opportunity to be there, to be in the government, they did exactly the same thing that Ruto is doing, and they've never been prosecuted. So now they're trying to bamboozle, lie to the Kenyan people, pretending to be this opposition coalition. Let's reject them. Let's reject them, and the people should turn to the military and ask the military to join them in the protest in order to remove Ruto through a popular revolution. It's all legal. It's in the first article of the Constitution. We, the sovereigns, we can exercise our power directly, and we can do so by going to the streets and telling Ruto, joining with our brothers and sisters in the military to tell Ruto, step down, get out. And the whole legislative body too should step down. We cannot live in a country where we have people like Oscar Sudi who are cussing people out. People like Farah Maalim, using words, unparliamentary words, uncouth behavior, calling people all sorts of names that you can't even repeat in front of your parents, okay? This is an embarrassing. So the Kenyan people should stand up. Anyway, I'll stop here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and, put your notification on. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.